Well, good afternoon. It is so good to be with you again today. And we have continued to listen to people and hear from people about what's going on in their lives. And once again, I'm Dr. Patricia Ryan, and this is Dr. Rich Kozart. And the topic that we think is really pertinent to where we are with this pandemic and this lockdown is really about self-care. And yeah, Rich, I don't know if you want to say a few words about that before we get started, but we have a couple of issues that have come up that we're going to share with you, and then we're going to respond in some helpful ways, hopefully, to help you get through this time and really take care of yourself in the process. So, Rich, what have you got to say?
Sure. When it comes to a situation that involves a lot of stress or other mental health challenges, oftentimes counselors will talk about a biopsychosocial spiritual solution to those difficulties. So as we go over some of these cases today, we will be referring to these different ideas: bio, physical, psycho, what's our mental health like, social, what are our social connections, what are they doing in terms of overcoming these stressors, and then spiritual, of course, our connection with God. So biopsychosocial, spiritual, we'll be talking about those.
Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and have Rich start with the first issue that came up that we heard about. And we kind of put these into a typed format so that we can kind of read them to you as we have received them from other people. So Rich, you want to go ahead and start with the first situation?
Yes. Let me read this situation and then we'll respond to it. This individual writes, "I'm a single man and I have a brother who lost his job. I am fortunate that I am working for an industry that is, for the most part, unaffected by COVID-19. I want to help him, and I have, but who is helping me? Who can I turn to? Not for financial help, but to be able to share my fears and sense of burden of the responsibility I feel for my brother. It makes me feel guilty to even ask this question." In a situation such as this, we find an individual who's a single person, of course, not being married. Usually when we're married, we have a companion that we can confide in, that we can speak to, someone that is there for us every day. And with this situation, that is simply not the case. So we want to be aware. You want to be aware, if you are a single person, there's going to be some challenges. I spoke earlier about the social element to being challenged in terms of stressors. So this individual is being challenged in that area. And of course, the answer is going to be to try to connect with some others in a safe way. And that's the advice we would want to offer to this person. Are there some avenues to speak to others, to confide with others, people that we trust, even if it's just over the phone or FaceTime or over the internet like Zoom, things of like what we're doing today. And perhaps it's not the ideal. Perhaps it's not something where we can actually sit next to someone and share our heart and open up and pour out our feelings, but it might be the next best thing. So I would hope that for this individual, and then when he says, it makes me feel guilty to even ask this question, this might be a person who is maybe oversensitive about his own needs, and I would have him actually maybe do some introspection over whether or not that guilt is valid or not.
You know, I always say that, you know, there's a difference between guilt and shame, and we kind of intersperse those a lot in our communication, but it sounds to me that he's feeling some sense of shame. guilt is a handy emotion when you've done something wrong. But clearly, this man's not done anything wrong. He's just concerned about feeling burdened and kind of worn down by what we're all going through right now. And so, yeah, I think it's important to kind of tell the truth, as we spoke about last week. You know, are you doing anything wrong? Have you done something wrong that you need to feel guilty about? And clearly, he doesn't need to feel guilty about anything. None of us do. It's just a difficult time. So yeah, thanks, Richard.
Yes.
I really appreciate your input on that one. I want to read the next comment that we got. This young woman says, I feel lost, like I've lost myself, as I seem to be caring for others all the time, and I have no time for me. She goes on to say, I used to have lunch with my friends, go shopping for myself, and now I can't even go and get my hair done or my nails done anymore. I need to go out on a date again with my husband, she writes. Out to dinner, dress up, do something for me. Wow, she clearly needs some self-care here. And again, I think it's looking at some of the things that you can do right now. Certainly it's not maybe a time to go out to dinner. Most of the restaurants in our local area here in Houston are still closed. But there are things you can do to kind of care for yourself. Maybe you sit down and you talk to your husband about some of those things that you can kind of start to plan, because we're getting to that place where we will be opening up some things here in Houston again soon, and anticipate that together, sort of talk about it, talk about your plans, talk about kind of the positive things that are going on right now, and hope together, kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel together. I think also when we're feeling this way, we have to ask ourselves, are we getting enough rest? Are we able to spend time, as Rich said, even electronically, virtually, with family and friends? Are we having some of that good alone time, it may be with our God in prayer or whatever, that, we can kind of sort of refresh and renew ourselves? Those types of things, I think, become very, very important at a time like this. But right now, I think you want to focus on the positive things. For me and my family, I don't have anyone in my family who's been afflicted with COVID-19, and I'm very grateful for that. To kind of look at the way that we've been able to shelter the storm, that God has brought us successfully through a lot of these challenges, and to look at some more of the positive things. Yes, and we've all been in that situation where we've been on an airplane and it's taxiing down the runway, getting ready for takeoff, and they do these safety announcements. And what do they always say? They always say this: if you're traveling with someone else, and in this situation, she's traveling with her husband down this COVID-19 pathway, well, they always say, put on your own oxygen mask first before you can help someone else. And I think it's good to remember that. We have to take care of ourselves in whatever little small ways we're able to do that right now. If it's, taking a long bubble bath and listening to some comforting music that calms you down, watching a good movie together, inventing ways that you can interact with your husband. And yeah, you can't go out to lunch with your friends right now. You can't go shopping. The stores are all closed. But there's a lot of things that you can do that can make a difference. Just sort of pamper yourself a little bit. Be good to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes, Pat, very good advice. Let me go on to our third person here. They write, at first, when I thought about having the kids at home all the time, I thought it would be sweet to help them with their homework and give them all. I was laid off from my job due to the pandemic. My husband was able to work from home, so our finances are safe. It seemed like a chance to be a stay-at-home mom and that it would be fun. Well, I love my family, but I find that I suddenly have no time for myself. I'm really struggling and getting burned out on this.
Mm.
This is a mother, a wife that idealized what it would be like to be at home. And now that she is at home, there's certainly some negative things that she's experiencing. And of course, this could happen to any of us. I would suggest that she be intentional about her schedule. and that she takes some time to be by herself or to do some things that she would like, that she would prefer, so that not all of her time is devoted to her husband and her children. There's something about even being around the people that we love. There's something about being around them constantly that can be stressful for any of us. We love them, but overexposure can cause a great deal of stress and friction and conflict with these people that we love so much. It is important to have time alone for ourselves. And I hope that this woman, this mother, this wife can maybe work out something with the dad there, the husband, to take an extended time off each day. And I would recommend 1, 2, maybe 3 hours a day, when the children are off doing their thing, her dad's off doing his thing, and that she has time alone, perhaps in her room or outside in a yard or doing something, a walk. And I believe this will contribute to her mental health.
Yeah, that's excellent advice, Rich. You know, I think it's sometimes we feel guilty, or we feel like we're being selfish because we're even having these thoughts of, having to care for other people, having to change our schedules, and really kind of covetous of that time when, we could kind of do what we wanted. And so we're all having to kind of sit down and reflect. This next and last question or issue I want to read to you. It says, my wife and I have been married for 38 years, and she had to have emergency surgery recently. I spent so much time caring for my wife, who's been struggling with health issues. She's in the hospital, and I couldn't see her. And then she was sent home after her surgery, and all of that care for her has been my responsibility. I'm not complaining, he says, but I seem to have lost sight of how to take care of myself. I need to know how I'm supposed to do what the wife wants me to do, and still be able to spend some time and attention on myself. And I think that the advice that we've been giving all through this conversation is, it's not selfish. It's not anything we need to feel guilty about. Take a walk. Get someone to come in and stay with her. In this particular situation that I just read to you, this young man shared with me that they have a daughter who's coming home this weekend from college, and that she'll be able to spend some time with her mom. And I think you need to, seek help like that. Make sure that you're doing those things. If it's, calling a friend and saying, hey, let's meet at the golf course. I know you can go golfing right now, even though you can't be in the same golf cart. They do allow you to do certain physical fun activities like that. Go for a walk, take the dog for a walk, order yourself some good food and have it brought in, so you're not feeling the burden of having to prepare something. A lot of these food delivery companies right now are really helping to keep restaurants open and afloat, and take advantage of some of those things. And there is no need for all of this to feel guilty or to feel like you're being selfish. Self-care is an important thing. The bottom line here is that if there's nothing left of you, then you have nothing left to give to anyone else. And so it's very, very important that we pay attention to that. So
Yes.
What final words do you have for people watching us today?
I would say to intentionally build into your schedule recreation, exercise, leisure, and I would say to customize things in your life that lifts your spirit. What will lift your spirit? It's different for everyone. I know one person who says they watch a comedy every day, a 30-minute comedy each day that they enjoy. And so that would be for that person. Another person would be working on the flowers in the garden, flower garden. Another would be out exercising. So whatever it is, intentionally build it into your schedule, several minutes, if not hours each day, so that as Pat said, you'll be at the right place so that you can help others.
Yes. I think two things I would add to what you just said. I think it's real important during a time like this to develop a routine. You know, what does that look like? Because lots of research has been done telling us that children really thrive on routine. Well, I believe that adults also thrive on routine. We like to have a sense of control about our day, and routine kind of gives that to us. Also, I think don't be afraid to ask for help. And sometimes that's just calling a friend and saying, hey, you know how you could really help me right now? Just talk to me. Let me have some time to interact with you and vent, or let's meet on FaceTime and just spend a little time together. I also heard that recently there's some games that have been developed that you can play electronically. I think kids have been doing that for a long time, but they've got some that are, not the kind of, I don't even know what they call that, the kind of games that kids play on Game Boys and stuff like that. But they have some games that are just a little more like Monopoly type of thing that people can play together to just sort of interact and see each other while they're doing it, much like you're able to see one another on FaceTime or Zoom or Skype. All of these things are important, and we both of us just want to say to you, don't be concerned or feel guilty or any sense of selfishness around taking the time to care for yourself. So
Yes.
if you need help with any of this, if you would like any tools with any of this, our contact information is on this recording. Contact us. You can reach us by phone. You can reach us by email. And if you have any questions that come up for you this week as you're going through this time of being in lockdown, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to help, and we're here to help. God bless you. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.